Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be reading this a story from the Brothers Grimm. So if you don't know, I did a video showcasing this new book I purchased a couple months ago. In fact, I think I purchased it around January. Well, I purchased it on December, it arrived on January. There's a lot of stories. Now, I have read this story on my own time, but of course, let me read it to you guys so you can understand. Now, this book was pretty cheap. There are multiple versions of this book. This version was just very cheap. But there are plenty of versions out there with possibly different fonts types, possibly different page type. These pages are so thin, it's more thin than the A4 papers you can buy. So um, I'm just saying there are multiple versions out there, and some versions just have a couple of the stories, while other versions might be more expensive and have all the other stories, all of them included. So this one has all of them included. It's just that the pages are pretty flimsy, I guess, because of the price. So let's read the story. The Frog King, or Iron Henry. In old times, when wishing still helped one, there lived a king whose daughters were all beautiful, but the youngest was so beautiful that the sun itself, which has seen so much, was astonished whenever it shone in her face. Close by the king's castle lay a great dark forest, and under an old lime tree in the forest was a well. And when the day was very warm, the king's child went out into the forest and sat down by the side of the cool fountain. And when she was dull, she took a golden ball and threw it up on high and caught it. And this ball was a favorite plaything. Now it so happened that on one occasion the princess's golden ball did not fall into the little hand which she was holding up for it, but to the ground beyond, and rolled straight into the water. The king's daughter followed it with her eyes, but it vanished, and the well was deep, so deep that the bottom could not be seen. On this she began to cry, and cried louder and louder, and could not be comforted. And as she thus lamented, someone said to her, "What ails thee, king's daughter? Thou weepest, so that even a stone would show pity." She looked round to the side, from whence the voice came, and saw a frog stretching from its thick, ugly head, stretching forth its... I'm sorry, I can read, okay? It's just I'm reading so fast. I'm reading through the camera instead of the book because the camera is blocking my view. Okay. And saw a frog stretching forth its thick, ugly head from the water. "Ah, old water splasher, is it thou?" said she. "I am weeping for my golden ball, which has fallen into the well." "Be quiet, and do not weep," answered the frog. "I can help thee, but what wilt thou give me if I bring thy plaything up again?" "Whatever thou wilt have, dear frog," said she. Okay, is this the same? Okay, just worried because there's so many pages. Okay, so let me just continue. I'll be very careful with the pages. She said, "My clothes, my pearls and jewels, and even the golden crown which I am wearing." The frog answered, I do not care for thy clothes, thy pearls and jewels, or thy golden crown. But if thou wilt have me, and let me be thy companion and playfellow, and sit by thee and thy little table, and eat of thy little golden plate, and drink out of thy little cup, and sleep in thy little bed, if thou wilt promise me this, I will go down below, and bring thee thy golden ball up again." "Oh, yes," said she, "I promise thee all thou wishest, if thou wilt but bring me my ball back again." She however thought, How, how the silly frog does talk. He lives in the water with other frogs and croaks and can be no companion to any human being. But the frog, when he had received this promise, put his head into the water and sank down, and in a short while came swimming up again with the ball in his mouth. And okay, am I looking carefully? Am I reading? I'm sorry. I need to get a stand for this camera, this tablet. Okay, where was I? Now I'm lost. Okay, okay. But the frog, when he had received this promise, put his head into the water and sank down, and in a short while came swimming up again with the ball in his mouth, and threw it on the grass. The king's daughter was delighted to see a pretty plaything once more, and picked it up, and ran away with it. Wait, 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 said the frog. Take me with thee. I can't run as thou canst. But what did avail him? What did avail him to scream his croak after her, as loud as he could? She did not listen to it, but ran home and soon forgot the poor frog, who was forced to go back into his well again. The next day, when she had seated herself at the table with the king and all the courtiers, and was eating from the little golden plate, something came creeping splish splash, up the marble staircase, and when it had got to the top, it knocked at the door and cried, "Princess, youngest princess, open the door for me." She ran to see who was outside, but when she opened the door, there sat the frog in front of it. Then she slammed the door to in great haste, sat down to the dinner again. Diner. Oh my gosh, no, diner, no, dinner. Wait, I'm mixing up my words. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not that stupid. I'm not that stupid. Sorry. I'm sorry. This is supposed to be a fun reading time. Okay. So where were we? Then she slammed the door to, in great haste, sat down to dinner again, and was quite frightened. The king saw plainly that her heart was beating violently, and said, "My child, what art thou so afraid of? Is there perchance a giant outside who wants to carry thee away?" "Ah, no," replied she, "it is no giant, but a disgusting frog." What does a frog want with thee?" "Ah, dear father, yesterday as I was in the forest sitting by the well, playing, by my golden ball fell into the water, and because I cried so, the frog brought it out again for me, and because he is so insisted, I promised him he should be my companion, but I never thought he would be able to come out of his water, and now he's outside there, and wants to come in to me." In the meantime, it knocked a second time and cried, "Princess, youngest princess, open the door for me. Dost thou not know what thou saidst to me yesterday by the cool waters, the fountain? Princess, youngest princess, open the door for me." I think you can sing it as a song if you want to. Okay. Then said the king, "That which thou hast promised must thou perform. Go and let him in." She went and opened the door, and the frog hopped in and followed her, step by step, to a chair. There he sat and cried, lift me beside thee." She delayed until at last the king commanded her to do it. When the frog was once on the chair, he wanted to be on the table, and when he was on the table he said, "Now push thy little golden plate near to me, that we may eat together." She did this, but it was easy to see that she did not do it willingly. The frog enjoyed what he ate, but almost every mouthful she took choked her. At length he said, I have eaten and I am satisfied. Now I am tired. Carry me into thy little room and make thy little silken bed ready. And we both lie down and go to sleep. The king's daughter began to cry, for she was afraid of the cold frog, which she did not like to touch, and which was now to sleep in a pretty clean little bed. But the king grew angry and said, "He who helped thee when thou wert in trouble ought not afterwards to be despised by thee. Despised by thee." I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my words. Okay, I'm reading a bit too fast. Okay, so she took hold of the frog with 2 fingers, carried him upstairs, and put him in a corner. Now, one really cool thing I like about this book is the images. Look at this. This is so beautiful. Look at the sketches. Look at the design. I really wish this was color because you could see it more better, but overall, it's not a bad drawing. So she took a hold of the frog with 2 fingers, carried him upstairs, and put him in the corner. As you can see, she's holding just like this, like dangling him. You know when you touch something very yucky, you just can't hold it to your full potential. You have to hold it with like 2 fingers. Okay. So I think this is the final page. I think so. Let me just see. Let me just have a little peek. Yep, it's the final page. Okay, I don't know if I should read all the stories. I don't know if that's possible. But these are open domain, so I don't know if I will be in trouble or not. Anyways, moving on. But when she was in bed, he crept to her and said, "I am tired. I want to sleep as well as thou. Lift me up, or I will tell thy father." Oh, wait, let me do his voice. "I am tired. I want to sleep as well as thou. Lift me up, or I will tell thy father." Then she was terribly angry, and took him up and threw him with all her might against the wall. Now thou wilt be quiet, odious frog," said she. But when he fell down, he was no frog, but a king's son, with beautiful kind eyes. He by a father's will was now a dear companion and husband. Then he told her how he had been bewitched by a wicked witch, and how no one could have delivered him from the well but herself, and that tomorrow they would go together into his kingdom. Then they went to sleep. The next morning, when the sun awoke them, a carriage came driving up with 8 white horses, which had white ostrich feathers on their head, and were harnessed with golden chains, and behind stood the young king's servant, Faithful Henry. Faithful Henry had been so unhappy when his master was changed into a frog that he had caused 3 iron bands to be laid round his heart, lest it should burst with grief and sadness. The carriage was to conduct the young king into his kingdom. Faithful Henry helped them both in, and placed himself behind again, and was full of joy because of this deliverance. And when they had driven a part of the way, the king's son heard a cracking behind him, as if something had broken. So he turned round and cried, "Henry, the carriage is breaking." "No, master, it is not the carriage. It is a band from my heart, which was put there in my great pain when you were a frog, and imprisoned in the well." Again and once again, while they were on their sorry, I'm reading from I'm trying to have a perfect angle. Okay. Maybe the next video will be better. Okay. "No, master." Okay, let me do a very old voice. "No, master, it is not the courage. It is a bond from my heart, which was put there in my great pain when you were a frog and imprisoned in the well." Again and once again, while they were on their way, something cracked, and each time the king's son thought the carriage was breaking, but it was only the bands which were springing from the heart of Faithful Henry. because his master was set and free. Now, this is a very interesting story. I really like this little image. Now, the story is, of course, very old, and obviously, obviously, you'll have people getting upset over it, but I find this to be a very simple story, not something super duper crazy. I mean, obviously, yes, a frog talking to a girl. Of course, that sounds crazy, but obviously, it's just a story. It's meant to be like that. It's meant to obviously be fiction. You know, it's not real. So when it comes to fiction, you can obviously distort fiction, but when it comes to reality, you can't do that. So, you know, this story sounds really amazing. I really like it. I like the image, especially the image. I like how short it is as well, like just a couple of pages as well. I don't know if there is a longer version, but I doubt there is, because I feel like this is the original version. What I really like about this is the fact that you have a faithful servant. That's one of the best parts. Imagine having a faithful servant who sulks when you are transformed by a wicked witch into a frog. Faithful Henry put these bands around his heart. You know how painful that must have been. But honestly, I really appreciate how how faithful this character is. Honestly, he's not just some kind of greedy bastard whatsoever. He's an actual faithful guy. Not many people would do such things like that in modern times. I know it's just fiction, but honestly, we can learn a thing or two from being faithful to someone. Anyways, that's it. Maybe I'll do another video, but next time I'll try and not really mix up my words. The problem is that I need to sit properly. I'm actually leaning against I'm actually leaning against my bed, which is not really a good sign to sit, but I don't know how to sit properly. So, who knows? How will I go about the next story? Look at this. Ah, so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. The 17-minute video. Next time it will be better. Anyways, bye.